1. We are live, Tweacz.
Well, we are finally. Hey, dude, coming to you straight from Buddha's PS4 controller.
If you guys are wondering what the
Crushing it.
holdup was, for about 3 minutes I could only hear and talk to Tweacz through this PlayStation 4 controller. So
I'm dead.
we're here now. Luckily
That's so
Tweacz was
funny.
in the chat, so you guys didn't think we forgot about you. But let's just kick this puppy off by saying, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another POWERCREEP podcast with my legendary co-host in the building. We got Tweacz. And that's it. Our other 2 podcasts have been lost in the ether, our podcast hosts. So maybe one day we'll get a return for them. But in the meantime,
I got High Resurrection or
may
Miracle.
have
You
to.
want to use it?
but we'll talk about that in this podcast where Last Cloudia has dropped their newest unit along with some other very interesting updates that I'm very excited to get into. Tweacz, how was your day of the new update?
Fun. Got right in after update. Snagged him in the Ark. I mean, it took a little bit as usual. I'm not as lucky as most folks, but it was fun. Tried to build him immediately. Got to stream it. So a lot of people got to see the first reactions. So we'll definitely go over that soon. How was your update?
Well,
I did not see any of your polls today. I was head in the ground.
So,
What happened?
I've been doing a lot more Twitch streaming. Many of the Buddha gang were present this morning.
Yeah, where's this going?
So we did our we did 2 multi-summons worth of Thouzer polls. No,
Which was
not
the
even,
step up?
because your boy Buddha's on a
Or-
tight budget.
Listen, I don't know if anyone was generous enough to try to get
No,
you
no.
blonde crazy
Would
guy.
never
but
expect that. So we had
Alright.
about 6,000
No, of
over the
course.
120 safety mark for what we expect is
Right,
coming
right.
in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was introduced by Champion is the gamer tag. I was introduced to a new summoning ritual, Tweacz, where we luck sacked him on the second multi.
Wow, you're just like
And then-
that's it's not even
and then-
related to RNG at this point. That's like perfectly. That's because of the
Tweacz, I'm not done.
the new thing you did.
But then
Okay.
I went over and just to continue the little summon session, we did just 7 gotcha premium tickets, and your boy got Mia.
What? Not even unit singles, just regular single.
Yep, like the gray
has gotcha
ones
tickets?
that expire on the
That's
21st
lovely.
or something. Yeah. So Thouzer
Shit,
and
that's
Mia
awesome.
came home today in one of the most budget summon sessions
Mm-hmm.
I've ever done in this game. So anyway, I thought that would make you feel
Fair enough.
awesome.
Nope. That is pretty sweet. You got Thouzer and Mia.
I do,
basically
but
two
the
multis.
problem is now
pretty lit.
when whatever update comes in 2 weeks is here, I have 0
Mm-hmm.
materials for anything.
Well, we can talk about that because there's materials
I'm
out the
all
ass that you
ears.
can get. Okay, well, anyways, this is a pretty big update, honestly. Quality of life stuff, as well as unit-wise events, GodForge, all kinds of shit. So this is gonna be a fun little pod. But why don't we jump into the main
On
man,
the throne,
as we
man.
see in the back, Thouzer. On the throne of
I
bodies, essentially.
I don't know how
That
you
shit is
feel, but
cool.
like when he was introduced in story, I was a little on the fence. I was like, who is this like weirdo? Who's this beanie band?
Who's this beanie dude?
Who's this beanie boy?
What's this weirdo?
And now he's like very quickly ascending into one of my favorite
Very cool, man.
aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
I
Very,
think
very
they
cool.
killed it on the sprite work.
Um,
Yeah.
And you know how much, dude. We've had this same like rotating like
Oh,
purplish hue, like the same stuff with like Shift Rimuru.
yeah.
Oh,
They
well
know you
played.
love it.
Well played. By the way, people were saying in chat about your audio, so I don't
What's
know if you
going on
wanted
with
to
the
address that.
audio? What happened to the audio? Turn it
I
up.
just.
I don't know. I think you guys are just deaf. Just kidding. Love you guys.
Probably not. It maybe has
It
something to
could
do
be.
with
It
your
could
previous
be.
issues. I'm not
It
sure.
wouldn't make so much sense, but here I can try something. I'll try something in the background. You do. You keep doing you, Tweacz.
Okay, we'll do the thing. Roboting hard. Oh, rip. Um. Okay. Well, soldier type. He is very cool. He's a physical DPS. I do.
Mm-hmm.
His sprite's so sick. I'm glad. I'm honestly glad
Heck
he
yeah.
lost the
I
beanie.
think every single person
Um.
that plays this game is.
Yeah. He literally is a. From where I stand, his art reminds me of straight up Roland / or Shift Roland / Shift
Mm.
Goroth, which is like. This gives me those kind of like, seriously royalty, but like super evil vibes. I don't know, I really like it. His sword's sick, as you can see it behind him sitting in the art, and then in the sprite, which we can see like most usually in battle. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go here because this is an easier place to see it. Homie got. Oh my god, they didn't show my unit. What else? Just is very rude, honestly.
It
One didn't
happens.
one tap it. But regardless, he's chilling. He's super cool. Dark DPS, debuffer, which we'll get into why he's a debuffer. But let's talk about his skills. Deadly Veil, frontal, medium air, dark combo tap. What this doesn't tell you that it's a little bit of a lunge. I'm surprised that they didn't say that. It's definitely not. It's like on almost like that cone shaped ranged DP like attack, and then he lunges in, which is sweet. I just thought it was a normal 6-hit attack, to be honest. Anger Shred, though, medium area long range dark combo attack that instantly move behind enemy to attack again. This is cool because he does get a warp on at least one of his skills, right? We love movement speed on units, even if they can't be just ranged. Movement speed to get to the enemy quickly. He starts the attack. It's kind of like Sheeta's S3, where he starts the attack on the enemy and then he warps over to hit the rest of the attack. Then gets behind them. I'm not unhappy about it. Vulture Gallows, medium area dark combo attack. On final hit, boost critical rate / damage cap plus 150,000. So what happens here is this is a completely it's a completely ranged dark combo attack. It's not quite long range, not quite non line of sight or anything, but it is 14 hits. And then on the very final hit, he gets a cap boost at plus 150,000 at max enhance. What this doesn't tell you is what the crit rate is, or the boosted crit rate. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Hopefully, we'll find that out eventually. But it is 14 hits, and it does some pretty nice damage. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, it does crazy cap damage on his S3." Well, that is only one hit, right? And I've seen people do 250k plus on that final hit, and it's cool. I get it. It's just the fact that it's not 2 hits. It's literally just one hit of the of the overall damage, or 1 hit over the overall hit skill. It's okay. It's not that much damage. Let's just be honest. It's good damage. It's a slow skill.
I want to.
DPS wise, it's not.
I just want to ask
but
the audience about my audio, what they think about it right now.
Your audio is like I can hear you, but it sounds like you're speaking through a waffle.
Okay. Carry on.
I will continue though. Execution. This is cool. I don't love single target alts all the time, but this is a one single target alt. 55 hits, gives you a dark resistance cut on it, and he can get some nasty caps if it is used in the last 30% of the HP. I know I did the quick math on it with like a fully boosted setup with like double Sarah, Roland, Arch being Eldrav, all the crazy cat boost. He can hit over 5 million in one alt in the last 30% of the HP, which is just disgusting. That means he can hit almost if not over 100k hit on his alt, which is like unreasonable, and you wouldn't do that anywhere. But even at his base alt, if you wanted to use that single target alt for hitting 55 hits of at least 2.5-3 million damage, like really good. And I love to see more of those. Anyways, into the traits, because this is where it starts really getting interesting. This is where his traits and his unique passives are some stuff we just have never seen before. So trait 1, Atrocity. When only one weapon is equipped, dark damage plus 50%, damage cap plus 10,000. What's really nice here is that none of his stuff is weapon specific, right? Sure, he has favorite sword, but favorite sword is actually non-weapon specific as well. He doesn't get sword boosts, he doesn't get sword mega boosts or anything like that, even though he has a big ass sword. So whatever weapon you wanted to use on him, you could absolutely do that. If you wanted to use straight up Trishula on him against hard content that is highly dark resisted, you absolutely can do that, which I think is great. I think it's a great direction they're doing. Just linking it to one weapon, okay, single wield, and giving him a lot of boost single wield, but like not linking it to a specific weapon. That's sick. Boost dark damage / damage cap based on number of debuffs and or status ailments on target. Damage plus 7%, damage cap 1500 for each, max 8 debuffs and 2. Alright, it's a lot of words. What happens here is in order to max out this debuff, or max out this boost in trait 1, you need 8 debuffs and 2 ailments on the enemy. Anything less will give you less damage, less cap. Anything more will not give you any more. So 8 debuffs, 2 ailments. Do you need to be running all 8 debuffs in both ailments on an enemy at all times? I mean, not really. Like, do it to the best of your ability. The 8 debuffs is generally a lot easier to do than ailments, because then ailments is kind of like outside of his realm of like specialty at this moment. Then you'd have to go well out of your way of his damage potential in order to like apply ailments. So you'd normally just be using a second unit for that. But if they happen, great. If not, just focus on those 8 debuffs, because debuffs not only will boost his damage, but a lot of the debuffs, such as things like High Drain, High Blazer, they both increase both the damage for him, the entire team, as well as the entire team's damage mitigation. And I think that's where people underestimate debuffs itself, right? When we talk about how good debuffers are, and people that can automatically and innately apply debuffs, like that has so much usefulness for not only that unit but the entire party. And I think that's really, really cool. Now, Buda, I don't know if you wanted to bring it up, if you have the screenshot of the debuff list, but I just want people to see and understand how many debuffs there are in the game, or how many different unique icons there are. I know I don't have the pictures of them.
There's a lot,
but
yeah,
there's so many. Here's my thing though, and I think a lot of new players kind of don't understand exactly what the difference between a debuff and an ailment is, right? And I think that's probably something we should explain. So I don't know if you wanted to go after that.
You want me to explain it?
To try to explain that?
Go ahead. Your vocal cords are tired?
Okay, I mean, we can go halvesies if you want. I think, all right, so I mean, the main couple points of difference between ailments and debuffs, which we'll show whenever we go into battle, is that ailments are a very limited number of things. They're your 6 basic ailments. You have poison, blind, silence, curse, stun, and illness, and you'll very much recognize those on the ailment bar, or the bar underneath the boss, or on the enemy. And then you have some tier 2 ailments. You have like rot, which we can apply with a couple units. We have freeze, which we cannot apply yet. We have I think it's seal. And then there's a couple more. I can't think of those right now. But there's a very, very limited number of ailments that you can apply. And most ailment users will be very obviously like being able to apply those. Now, the difference is, yes, those are limited, but they have actually a different shape of icon on the enemy when you actually apply an ailment. The icon of an ailment is like a rounded like rectangle. It's not, and we'll show that in battle, so I don't know if this is going over anyone's head, but they look very, very different than debuffs. Debuffs by themselves are any negative application of a buff that looks just a straight square. It's animas, you got a bunch of elemental resistance down, like, I mean, you have the list. I don't know if you want to like read it out, but you can just...
It is up right now.
It is up right now? I don't see it on there. Oh, okay, perfect. I'm gonna look at yours. So I'm just gonna.
I
If
thought
you
you
have
were
it up,
gonna
I'm
let
just
me
gonna read
talk,
through it.
man.
Bro, come on, you just let it. Go ahead.
So as Tweacz was explaining,
Go ahead.
guys, they have very different icons, right? That's the easiest way to tell just at a glance. But the debuffs, which are the square icons, as Tweacz was saying, and I think showing it in battle a little later will also help. But as you can see, there are
100%.
way more stat debuffs than there are ailments.
And these are all things listed like right that do unique buff icons. Okay, so there's a different icon for the generic strength, defense, intelligence, mind debuffs. That includes all of the ones that do not stack with each other, like brave, grand brave, fast brave, auto brave. Those are all the same thing, all the same icon. Any strength buffs that happen, like I know Thouzer has like a 50% strength boost whenever he activates. I think
S3
special?
and special.
Something around there. I really just that's what it is. Like that won't stack with like fast braves or anything. So these are like all the unique ones. So strength, defense, intelligence, mind, and then all animas are all, you can only use one at a time, obviously, but those are debuffs. Weak is a debuff. Any of the elemental resists are a debuff. And of the specific elemental resist drops are debuffs, I should say. Circles, elemental circles. And you see the long, long list. Those are all very, and we didn't list everything that's going to apply each one of those, but it's just an example of like all of the different ones. And I think a visual key would have been fantastic, but that would be a lot of effort to snag all of those pictures. I'm sure Lake has them offhand, but yeah, a lot of options here that can work with. And you know, Thouzer comes with a lot of them innate. He can apply 10 debuffs by himself.
Cool, dude.
By himself. Which is really good. So, I mean, as we've seen with Lagrange, he has, you know, conditional cat boosts, and other units who have conditional cat boosts where they can't really reach it themselves. He's one of those units that he is the perfectly capable of reaching all 8 debuffs himself, just by being there. And I think that's a really cool thing for his kit. Ailments, probably going to need someone else to do that, but for debuffs, which both help him and the rest of the team,
Most
he's
definitely.
good for it. But thank you for bringing up that list. I don't know if you wanted to link it in chat.
It's
maybe.
a good idea.
I think I have put a Reddit post on there. I don't know if you want to go check it out, but that is something that people can absolutely look at and say for themselves to get an idea of what they can apply. But continue along with his trait. When skill 3 or special activates, give you a strength plus 50% buff. This is what you and I were talking about before, about the generic strength buff. This will be a generic icon, but it is a 50% buff icon. It's a big move. When you just activate a skill 3 or special, which skill 3 is one of his better moves, so you're going to be activating it. Prison Gallowsman, trait 2, Battlestar, give imprisoned debuff to the living enemy with the highest max HP. When dealing damage to an enemy with alright, so this second part, when dealing damage to an enemy with imprisoned debuff, cut max HP an amount equal to 10% of the damage dealt, up to 30% max HP. Alright, let's talk about this, because this is a very weird interaction, in my opinion. It's not only weird in itself, it's weird when you actually do damage to an enemy. So I know I'm used to an enemy, like you're just doing smashing an enemy, getting that yellow bar where it like catches up to like your damage. Because he's constantly cutting the max HP, the bar doesn't move. Like the end of the bar doesn't move to drop his HP. It actually resets the bar every time you do damage, which is super weird. Because there's no yellow bar animation of your damage going down. Sometimes, if you're doing enough damage, which happens on his S3 quite a bit, it looks like because you're doing so much and cutting so much off, it looks like you're doing no damage, which is super weird. Because the bar is gradually resetting to get less and less as you hit. Sometimes if you hit a really hard, which is really funny, a really hard hit on his S3, like a big cap on the end, it will actually do a green bar and heal back technically, because it cut off enough HP to drop him past the point
that makes
of the actual
sense
damage.
with the percentages. Yeah,
It's so friggin' weird.
Fight,
especially on a lesser HP boss, or on a bigger HP boss. Sometimes it look like they're healing, which is friggin' weird. So yes, I believe I'm gonna give a shout out right now. I think it was Arkantox earlier. He was in my stream and he said something about the bar kind of being the trait working against itself, right? So he has a part at the end here about the Imprison being, HP 30% or less. Well, as the bar keeps resetting, that 30% HP marker on the enemy itself is moving. Now, it's not by much, but it is technically moving because the bar is resetting to the lesser HP. Which, if the boss isn't healing, you're only going to get up to 10% of the damage up to 10% overall of the bar has moved. So it's going to be like, 3% of the bar has moved, but that line of the 30% is super weird. I don't know. It's a very interesting trait, and it's something that I have never seen before with, doing damage and how it interacts with the boss's HP bar. But this second part is sick. When enemy with Imprison debuff is incapacitated, we give buff under same conditions. So you have to remember, when the Imprison debuff enemy is incapacitated, that means instantly when that enemy dies, and another enemy on the map that has the most HP will gain the Imprison debuff. The unfortunate part is, though, if there is no enemy on the map at the time of the death, it will not transfer. And I bring this up because I tried to do Pablo with him. I killed the first boss, but it takes a little bit for the other ones to spawn. Imprison debuff never happened again through the rest of the battle after the first one, because there was no enemy linked on the battlefield when I killed it, which is weird. But that's a very rare scenario. Most of the time, you'll have on one map a bunch of enemies that are just going to take that damage, and take the debuff when the previous one dies. But the coolest part about this, and I think this is why he's known as an executioner, right? He gains absolutely massive damage boost and damage cap when an enemy is low health, less than 30%. So like it says, when an enemy with Imprison debuff reaches their HP 30% or less, skill 3 and special damage plus 50%, damage cap plus 20,000 to that enemy. So yes, it only works on skill on his S3 as well as his special. But to have an extra 20,000 damage cap when the enemy is low health, and when he already has some pretty good caps himself, to be honest, especially if you're running, debuffs and ailments and getting him fully kitted out with those, that's hitting. That's a nice little damage boost and damage cap. And again, I love the persona of him being a straight up executioner. Low health, I'm killing you pretty much no matter what, which is dope. Dope. Skill cost, let's go. So he's got a pretty strong kit. Like a non-unique stuff. Attack ups, crit ups, proud force. You always love to see it. Brute Slayer, Human Slayer, and Special Boost. What the hell? Buda, can we talk about 10 Slayers again? This is literally Loug Zeus' Slayers. I mean, I don't really want to compare him to Loug Zeus because, dark, whatever. I don't care. But 10, we've got another unit with 10 Slayers. It just makes
reaching those caps so easy.
So much easier. On 10 out of 16 types in the game, as long as they're not Slayer proof, you're getting some massive damage. But as we continue on, Corrosion Fang, Weapon Break. Now, Corrosion Fang is good. Chance to debuff enemies during normal attacks, so physical attacks do plus 20% damage. I mean, we've had this skill around for a very, very long time. He does get it for free, but it does force you to use regular attacks in order to apply the debuff, which I'm not a big fan of. His regular attack does not have that many hits, and generally for physical DPS, skills are king. So you probably won't want to be relying on this to fill out the 8 debuffs, but this is an option. Weapon Break, though, big fan. When attacking with a skill, chance to inflict physical damage minus 20% debuff to an enemy. Yeah, 1.5% per skill hit to apply physical damage minus 20% debuff to enemy. This means that enemy is going to output 20% less physical damage. Helps, again, debuff adding to his boost, but also helps your damage mitigation for the entire team. That's a really nice one. I mean, yes, it's 1.5%. So, but that's not a low percentage, honestly, for physical hits.
Yeah.
Per hit? Come on. That's really not that bad. And especially if you wanted to run dual wield. I don't suggest everyone to run dual wield. Most people will not be able to take advantage of the dual wield situations with him. And to build him fully kitted with that. But if you wanted to, that's double the hits. You could do that. Auto Brave, nice to have. Dark High Drive, Dark Mega Drive, Dark Crit Raise, sure, let's go. Goddess Kiss. I mean, 11 SC to get free Goddess Kiss procs, I'm down for that on any unit. Because it just opens up the door for more strategies. Such as, getting Goddess Kiss back, getting MP back for his innate spells, which I didn't go over at first, we probably should have. Or any of the other MP stuff like Honey Elixir, Winter's Apple Pie, all that stuff. So really, really nice there. Surprise attack for free. Of course, his S2 launches him against the enemy and puts him behind them. So this fits perfectly with him. A free 50% damage for all damage when you're behind them. And as we talked about, favorite sword. When equipped with only one weapon, not weapon specific, he gains 30% of physical attack and physical attack damage cap plus 10,000. Love to see it. What he's missing in here, as you can tell, we're already in armor high boost and armor mega boost. You're missing all weapon boosts and all single weapon specific stuff. So again, as much as I actually probably would have loved to have, a sword high boost, sword mega boost in here because, his paid's a sword, it would have given him very easy damage for free. They decided to go with the route of not giving him anything. Not doppelhander, no two-handed axe or anything like that. No sword boost, nothing else to lean him anywhere. So if you want to use a friggin' machine like Trishula, you can absolutely do that. If you want to use a spear, you can absolutely do that. You can tailor your kit however you would like. He's not straight up sword, which is cool. I still would have preferred, maybe a sword mega boost in there, but whatever. Armor high boost and armor mega boost. This is sick. This is a lot of damage mitigation for some pretty nice free SC. Of course, armor high boost and armor mega boost. Armor mega boost is literally just an extra negative 10% damage taken from bosses. But this is straight up defense plus 20%, damage taken from bosses minus, defense plus 20%, damage taken from bosses minus 10%. Armor mega boost is defense plus 20% with an extra physical damage taken minus 10%. That's nice. These two put together, I mean, you if you want to build on bulky, single wield is definitely the way to go. Armor HP plus, armor equipped HP plus 50%. You'll love to see it. I think we saw this on, was it Shift Roland? I don't remember, but somewhere around there. Yeah. Ultimate boost 2, nice to have. Indomitable Spear, which I am in love with that we've been getting these on units. Just literally a free lethal damage survive with a 50% HP boost, and then you get a skill damage plus 30% buff. Yeah, okay. Gotta love that. Doggy Dog for free is something that we have never seen on a unit, right? We've got this on an Ark, but we haven't actually had this in A yet. Skill damage plus 10% against non-boss enemies. Okay, doesn't work against bosses, but I'll take any free damage boost they want to give me at this point. Death God. Physical attacks have a chance to deal instant death. Okay. I think it's 2% on regular attacks and then 0.1% on skill hits. Not bad. Schadenfreude. Now, before we get into Schadenfreude, I think I want to talk about his spells. Because this is kind of sick. This is a very easy thing to do. Apply spells on him and apply debuffs to enemies. So he comes with Execution Anima. This is considered, animas are considered debuffs, as we talked about before. So not only does your team get the benefit of having a debuff on the enemy, but this is also a second way of adding cat boost to skills. Now, we've only seen cat boost before on charismas, but those can be used simultaneously. So if you have a single-wielding homie Thouzer and a single-wielding homie Bayland, Shift Bayland, and you want to apply both their anime and charisma, that's 6k single-wield cap overall. I mean, his also does work with dual-wield, but in general, if you're going to be single-wielding them both, that's pretty lit. You'd love to see it. Nice. But the magics that he gets, 2 of them, or 3 of them really, are super effective. Giga High Blazer is one of the best skills in the entire game at mitigating opponents' physical damage. All enemy strength minus 35%.
Literally over a third.
It's disgusting. So the reason why this works so well, and especially against bosses, is that bosses in general, and damage is calculated based on a very ambiguous scale, right? But just know that bosses in general have very high stats, base stats, that makes them thrive on their damage output as well as their damage mitigation. So when you drop an enemy's strength by 35%, that is absolutely shitting on their damage. It's awesome. Not only that, I think I've explained it in the past month or so. We've tried to showcase piercing defenses, right? And how useful that can be, especially against bosses. How useful that can be for actually doing damage. A Giga High Drain for all enemies' defense minus 35% is absolutely massive. Like, it's hard to explain how good debuffs are until you literally walk into a battle with no debuffs, get absolutely smashed in the face, and then walk back in next battle, apply a debuff, and see just how ridiculous the effectiveness is. Because a lot of a boss's prowess is based on they just beef up their stats. Like, I want to say the Daybreak Kraken, or the Kraken of the world boss we have right now, Caesar Kraken. A lot of his damage mitigation is from a very, very high defense. But if you can mitigate that as much as you can and drop it as much as you can, you're going to have a much, much better time in the battle. I know, it's just one example. Debuffs are crazy in this game. And the fact that he can apply that, which we haven't gotten there yet, apply them automatically without having to even cast a spell is crazy. Giga Shaker, though, okay. This is more for Arena. I know we have some world bosses now that do a lot of crit damage for whatever reason. But this will drop their crit rate by 15%. I don't see it as that being that effective, but it can be. It is a flat 15%, so if an enemy only has like 20% crit rate, this is going to drop it hell hard. Giga Weak, though, is nice to have for him. He doesn't have a lot of resist piercing at all, so just having Giga Weak for free, and especially being Giga and minus 20 res to all enemies, you'd love to see it for free. Yeah, some really, really strong debuffs. Giga High Laser is going to nuke the enemy's physical damage. In a lot of times, alt damage, special damage, is going to be mitigated by strength downs. And then High Drain is going to massively increase your DPS a lot of the time against bosses and for the entire team. And it's against every single enemy on the map. That's nuts. The fact that these are Giga High debuffs is nutty. So why don't we go back to Schadenfreude? So Schadenfreude is pretty sick. Holy he's got a lot of stuff. All right, so Schadenfreude. When defeating an enemy with a debuff, recover HP 25% and SCT 5 seconds. Now, because he relies on debuffs, and because he's going to be pretty much putting in prison or, maybe throwing an anima off, because an anima reapplies to every enemy that's going to be on the same wave that appears. So like things like the Mother Fight, they're all going to have the anima. He kills them and gets them 25% of his own HP and 5 seconds of SCT. Meanwhile, you can put Pose of Glory on it and get an extra 5% or 5 SCT. You can put Pose of Victory on him if you feel like it. I think that's what, 20%, 10 or 20, he's 10 or 20% HP. Like, on enemy kills? Holy shit. We don't have many units that have extra SCT per kill. I think, again, Shift Goroth is another one that has this. I can't think of another one off the top of my head that gets extra bonus
Not
SCT
significant.
per kill. No. And that's why, again, he's very, very cool. Okay, let's go on to Decapitation, because this is another kind of like straight up favorite sword. Another 12,000 damage cap for a single weapon use. You love to see it. Pretty much, if unit strength is high, so strength, defense, intelligence, mind, which I would assume in most situations it's going to be, because he's a physical DPS. I think it would be, I'm trying to think of a situation where any other stats would be higher. I can't. But chance to break guard when physically attacking. I don't know the chance of this, but if it's anything like the guard break that Shift Balin has, that's pretty crazy. We'll have to see the Lake's numbers on this, because he'll figure it out. But I'm interested to see what the kind of break is, because obviously that's going to be very, very good in Arena. Thrall of God is interesting. I don't love this just because you're just like, oh, I have to use a god as one of the allies. I just feel like this can pretty much be ignored. If you want to use it, sure. I just don't really care for it.
No, it's 10% stats. I'm not jumping out of my seat.
Yeah, whatever. Bodily Anguish, physical attack damage plus 30% to enemies with imprisoned debuff. Lovely. Flat boost to the imprisoned debuffed enemy, which is usually against single bosses. It's going to be very directly applied to them. So, just an extra 30% damage. Mental Anguish. This is where it gets kind of cool. When physically attacking an enemy with an imprisoned debuff, chance to give a strength, defense, intelligence, or mind debuff that enemy does not have. Effect minus 20%. So it's going to give you one of the basic stat debuffs like the blazers, like the drains, and all that kind of stuff. But the enemy has to have the imprison debuff, but it's going to happen on any physical hit. So normal attacks, you're going to be working with skills. Anything that's going to hit the enemy with a physical attack, it has a chance. Now, we don't know the chance yet, and I would love to see the chance, but the fact that he can apply debuffs already without having to have any effort is pretty nasty. Now, let's get into his kit, or his weapons, because I think I have a couple other options that I would love to give him, other than his paid, right? So, paid, right? Avernus Blade, Ill Will. Dark Sword, which we do not have a lot of. I think there's some couple in the event we can get, but Dark Swords we do not have a lot of. When only weapons equipped Dark physical damage cap is Dark physical attack damage cap plus 3,000. Okay, this is literally just, this forcing him single wield, but, you don't have to if you don't want to. Damage to enemies with debuffs plus 30%, which is sweet because that's a free 30% damage, because pretty much every enemy that you're going to be fighting should have a debuff on them if you want to use them effectively. And then duration of debuffs from active skills plus 20%. That's hilarious. So basically his debuffs from his, and this is active skills, right? So it has to be something that's going to be applied off of his skills or be casted by him. The duration of those is going to have an extra 20% length. I actually really like his sword, to be honest. If I'm going to be single wielding him, that flat 30% debuff damage, as well as cap and duration. I can't talk enough about how much duration is effective in this game. For longer battles, it's so much. Duration is so good. You don't have to think about stuff for an extended period of time. You can just focus on damage or doing whatever you are doing at the time. But Warden Suit and Zephyr. So, at original inspection, I was like, holy shit, we're going to get all these buffs at the same time. Unfortunately, to all the enemies in the map, unfortunately, it says, this is very specific. Mm-hmm. It does say or. Which is, I forget who said it in my chat. Someone was just like, dude, it says or. I'm like, oh no. Because can you imagine minus 20% stats at battle start to all enemies? Oh my god. But it is or, so it's only going to apply one of these.
I see.
To every enemy. Which is still fine. It's gonna activate, his ability to do damage and, have all that stuff against boosted damage against debuffs and all that stuff. So it is not bad at all. But a flat damage taken from non-boss enemies minus 20%, that is hilarious. Sounds like where that's really useful? Sounds like Arena to me. But I mean, even in PvE, any non-boss enemies minus 20% damage. And Maze, yeah, sure. And continuous haste effect. An extra, just free auto haste. These are really strong pit equips, unfortunately, for most people. I say unfortunately because, they're really good.
I'm trying to think about them.
Mm-hmm. I know. There's good stuff out there. These are just really good. Unfortunately. Now, you can use pretty much any accessory you want. He's dark damage. You can use mitigation, beefy accessories. You can use HP. You can use physical damage boosting. Speed is really good on him because he only has one warp. So why don't we just talk about the extra weapons that he can use? Now, I don't have him having machine equipped, but obviously, Trishula is really good on him. Why? Because in heavy dark content, you will have the ability to use a machine and bypass all the dark resist. Now, Goddess Kiss probably won't work that well, but if you needed skill damage to not get cupped by 100 res, you are more than welcome to use Trishula on him, which I think is very cool. I wish they'd done that with a lot of other single wield units. Have just everything non-specific for weapons, but you can. Now, I did want to mention, swords-wise, this is the same. Again, we play Sword Cloudia, so if you wanted to use a sword on him, there are plenty of options. There's Muramasa, there's Dark Swords we're not really heavy on, but there's I really do not need to go through the list. But what I wanted to bring out and show you this time, which I think I just want machine equip. So machine equip, awesome. Let's go to machines because this is an interesting item. Luculian. This is a machine that every time you have physical attack, you have a chance to drop all 4 of the debuffs on the enemy. It is going to boost him, and it is a machine, so it's not going to be perfect on him. It's non-attribute. Sure, it doesn't really have much to it. But it does, when it procs its passive, which isn't that non-often. And especially with the amount of hits he can do, This will drop all of the enemies resist at one time and give you all four debuffs on an enemy. Which, again, with this trait 1, works synergistically. It can work really well. Will I be using this? Not really. I'm just showing it as an option if you wanted to get all those debuffs on. It's kind of cool. But did you have any other weapons that you wanted to show?
No.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to armor, because I think the armor is pretty sick. We have some pretty nice armors in the game. I think these probably top 2 are a lot of the better ones. Increased rate of attracting enemy attention, physical damage taken minus 20%. Lovely. Chance to nullify physical damage. Lovely. Again, if you're making him tanky. Crystal Mail, Millennia, physical damage taken minus 15%, and reduced chance to receive criticals is big. You love to see that. Not really too many other ones, honestly. I think those are probably the 2 top armors in the game. I don't know if anyone has any other suggestions, but I would go with absolutely these 2. Especially Shineplate. Shineplate is by far the best tank armor in the game, in my opinion, that we have available to grind. I mean, some paids are kind of better, but like that one's pretty nasty. So I guess we're going to battle. Why don't we do that? Let's go to. I want to bring little Tink because she has all the things that I need to use on her.
Honestly, after second thought, I would pick up the sword first.
I probably would too. Unless you're going to be like hardcore PvEing with him, which, I mean, units go in and out of favor, right? You don't, if you're going to be playing PvP with him forever, then okay, I can see the argue for the armor, but you really don't need it. Like, there's plenty of free-to-play stuff to use. The fact that his, like, paid armor or paid sword gives so much benefit to him, I think is worth.
I'm always an offense-oriented. I'm an offense-oriented mindset more than slight defense. I don't think it's defensively overpowered to warrant how good the offensive capabilities of the sword are.
Huh. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here we go. Booda, you ready? This is where we explain again ailments versus debuffs. So if we see in the upper left, this is the visual representation right now. The first one on the left is poison. It's a little rounded rectangle shit. That's what the icon shape looks like. And it's smaller, right? Anything on the right, those other 4, we got Imprison, we got a Mind Down, we got Attribute Res Down, and we have the Song of Destruction. All 4 of those are debuffs. Just to have a visual representation. It's, yeah. Lovely. Anyways, Execution Anima, I'm going to pop it, and then we're going to do a little Council of 10. Now, I don't think I have everything I want on him yet, but this is fine. We're going to do Melee Mare just to activate all the goodies, which I actually prefer on him.
Yeah, that's a really nice combo.
Again, this is like this is his kit. Like, yes, those caps are very high. Okay, I know people are going to be like, "Oh my god, 240k!" My guys, this when we talk about flat damage, yes, that is very high, and in places sometimes that's very useful. But when you're talking about DPS, damage per second, his skills are really not that fast. They don't have huge AoE. Like, he's not going to be your incredible DPS that's just going to run train on the game. Like, things like Shift Balin, things like Joker, things like Ardine. Like, he's not that. Your DPS ain't there. But what he's there for is to hit strong as hell, to apply debuffs whenever you need, and to help enable your team and disable the enemy. That's his purpose. And I actually think I want to switch these because this is really fun. One of my favorite combos in the game right now is because he cannot apply ailments very easily. And you'd have to bring a second unit pretty much. I love bringing Melee Mare on him and using the Arc skill. Why? Not only does it enable Terror Mouth 3 on him, if you want to use it, the Arc skill at base Of course, I have a level 10, but at base level 1, gives 100% chance of giving blind to the enemy. Now, that does run through the checks of the resist. So like at nil, it's not going to work. At res, it's 50% chance. But at anything at base blind resistance and lower, he's going to have 100%. This arc has 100% chance of applying blind, which is just going to further enable him. Yes, it's only one of the ailments, but it does work. And it's dark damage. The arc skill is dark damage for him. He gets boosted dark damage. It's just you love to see the synergy sometimes with arc skills or arcs in general. So we're gonna do a little honey elixir. I'm gonna dump in a nice little Theopolis, and then we're gonna use this arc skill, and you'll see how much ridiculous damage it does. So we're at 2.3 million on the boss. The other ones are probably around the same. And yeah, all ailments, and then just 50k.
Dang, you're
on the base
level
boys.
10 melee.
Also, mine is 15,000 extra, so like 36k per
at
level 1. Or no, it's 5k, so it's like
he also
40K
gives all his
per,
dark attack
which is
raises
crazy.
to it. Yeah,
that's what I
Did
mean.
you
It's synergy. It's a lovely arc skill, and I know. Here's the thing. Of course, they put this on freaking banner. Of course they did. It's so
Makes
gross
sense.
sometimes. And here comes the
fat.
245.
Big fatty cat.
Yeah, I love the melee arc
Yeah.
skill, and this is why it's. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I see Zero in chat saying his dark damage is non-specific to. Yeah, it's awesome. You'd love to see it. And that's like something that I loved with Joker as well, like his dark damage, or is super non-specific. Lost damage is non-specific, and that's the kind of shit that I love. So he's cool. Now it's a little bit hard to showcase him against bosses and stuff while he's gonna apply debuffs, because you really just have to look and feel the difference between when he's being used and debuffs on the enemy versus when there's no debuffs on the enemy. Now, I do think there's a thing to be said about instant debuffs where he will not have to proc, right? On team comps. Because team comps, he's a team enabler, he's a team supporter, essentially. Who also does some crazy damage. But who do I think would work really, really well with him? Unfortunately, a lot of that comes out to what kind of spells you have and the debuff list that you can apply at battle start. Now, I think units of note, I think fitting with him perfectly is V. And I know this is going to go over some units that are limited, so I just want to mention V. Why? Not only does V apply an instant fast and null health, he covers the ailments portion, so if you want to build him for full ailments and applying it from range for safely is going to boost essentially Thouzer's damage cap at base. He can be himself with free Goddess Kiss, free ability to use spells. If you want to put Elder King on him, that's a really effective way to use him as a ranged regular attacker to apply ailments. And then use him as like, more being able to apply into spells for debuffs, apply Corrosion Fang, all that kind of stuff with regular attacks, which are really, really useful. Another unit that comes in, and of course these are some of the best units in the game, which is not surprising that they're so highly rated, Gen. Why is Gen? Gen has the ability to not only at battle start give a minus crit rate debuff and a minus strength debuff, but he has some of the best debuffs to activate multiple debuffs at the same time. Why? Super Bad Chemical applies both a strength and intelligence debuff at the same time, as well as Super Bad Chemical Fatigue does defense and mind. This is 2 debuffs activated at the same time on an enemy, as well as their minus 25%. Lovely. Super Bad Chemical to drop down the enemy resistance, which does not stack with weak, by the way. It's the same thing. And you can give him a bunch of spells to apply other debuffs. Like these are 2 units that are incredibly synergistic with him. Not only that, we have on banner right now Melee. Now, do I suggest using her or pulling for her? She's a fantastic unit, and there's a reason she's rated 9.2 on the tier list. She has insane ability to apply ailments to completely just disable the boss. And while her ailments will not fully boost the kit of Thouzer, She also has Ensanguinate, which is a debuff on the enemy. She also has her blind res down, which on her S3 is a debuff. So like, while Thouzer may not enable her, or through his debuffs and stuff, he will enable everyone on the team, but she directly enables him, which gets pretty crazy if you want to run Terra Mouse on like your entire team and have her along. So she is fantastic. She gets a Null Mouth for free as well. Like, those were probably the top 3, non-supporters of him. I guess again is pretty much a support fee is pretty much, they're nutty units. But I think a shout out to other debuffs themselves. Of course, he's running an Anima. Units like Emtheria, who you're going to be using for pretty much the entire game, if you have her, for a lot of the harder content. If you don't have the ability to just blast through it, she is probably still after almost 2 years after release, still the best unit in the game, in my opinion. As a supporter, and it has the MP, she's able to apply debuffs to enemies. As well as, so Super Chemical I have on her, both of them. You can use any of the Giga Blazers, Giga, all that stuff, so she does it instead of having to stop and do it with him or with Thouzer. But then you have things like, which if you were here for the near, oh my god, it's scored by skill cost, I can't do it. If you were here for like the near collab, we also have Song of Destruction, which is a free debuff. Inflicted enemy with debuff Song of Destruction, which regular deals damage to nearby allies. Is this effective at all at what it does? No, but it counts as a debuff. That is its purpose. And she has about 1 million extra SC that you probably don't need to use for a lot of stuff, so you will be able to equip this onto her. As well as Gaze of the End, which I think is from the ReZero collab. Attribute resist of all enemies minus 10% chance to curse enemies. This is again a instant res down debuff on an enemy, as well as can proc curse. Like, this works really, really well. And of course, this shit's like all collab stuff, which is what also another point I want to bring up. This is why you save your gems for this shit. This is when the niche stuff that has been sitting in your inventory for forever that you just got from a collab, and you're like, I've never used this before. Well, now's the time. This weird stuff that has instant debuffs at battle start is what you would like to use. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, there are a couple arcs, I think, that are just of mention. Of course, Theopolis. Theopolis is one arc that gives a minus defense and mind debuff to all enemies at battle start. That's, again, 2 instant debuffs on the enemy. We also have things like, and I mean, people in chat can mention other stuff. I think I know Beautiful Songstress has a Giga Blazer at battle start. We have, I think it's Veldora is and again, another Giga Blazer at battle start. There's some really cool stuff. Obviously, Apel Nexus, the Icebound, if you were using like, Leona, Shift from Summer Leona. This arc skill works great on her and all gives an actual debuff at battle, like when you use it. We also have Lily Matter, the Lily Matter arc, the UR arc that gives both a light and dark damage taken debuff on the enemy. It's not only going to improve the damage of Thouzer if you use this on like a support or something, but it gives 2 debuffs at battle start. Like, there's some really cool stuff. Oh, thank you, Zero. Ghost Time is another SSR arc that works great. Why? Honestly, most people probably don't care outside of PvE how much an enemy heals, or outside of PvP how much an enemy heals. PvE is like, okay, whatever. But automatically giving Spear Ride to all the enemies at battle start is really cool. Like, it's just adding into another debuff you can give to him. So there's a lot of arcs and units that apply well with him to enable him, as well as him enabling everyone else. And that is why debuffers are so useful. It's both enabling your team, disabling the enemy. Like, I can't speak enough how, and he does he does solid damage for a lot of content. You can build him super bulky. He has 10 friggin' Slayers. Like, the only place he's gonna maybe struggle is like super high dark res content, but then again, you have things like Weak. We have things like Holy Circle that you can use. Well, maybe, I don't know if not everyone has that. You can put Tershol on him if you care. Like, pretty cool. Also, one unit I actually wanted to mention, which I think I love giving love to at this point, is, oh my god, please don't be upside down, thank you. is the homie Shift Goroth, which is super friggin' funny. On his special, still powerful dark combo attack to all enemies, inflict poison on enemies, and very greatly recover unit HP. Okay, so this is a normal chance of inflicting poison. Okay, I think it's 100% chance, but it's like not 100% chance, but it's pretty damn close. Based on the the reses of the enemies. I think it's ingest cooking. This is hilarious. The tasty types you add to an enemy on his special is 3 separate debuffs.
I didn't know they were counted as debuffs.
Yeah, yes they do. And you know what's really funny about this? Thouzer has Brute Slayer. So like if you have like a one of the 6 types that the enemy is, you use this special on him. This converts them directly to a feastable type, a Brute Slayer type. Like them being both dark damage, working together, maybe drop right, maybe have you only have a one directional approach, a mono element team or mono attribute team with dark, and have Holy Circle and weak and all this kind of shit to drop res, and they're both dark and one of the best enablers in the game for people who have Brute Slayer especially. But I just had to give a quick shout out to Shift Goroth because pretty fun. But yeah, Thouzer, pretty friggin' cool. Works super well with, plays well with friends, I should say.
One of the points that I really like him for is something that I think, it was someone in your chat brought up. I can't remember if it was Belly or if it was Alt Tech. One of the guys said he's just awesome because he encourages the playstyle of debuffing, which, as you mentioned, is so overpowered, but yet so overlooked, I think, by a lot of players. And so he's almost like a lesson 101.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny about that is I remember talking, or Lake was in chat the other day, yesterday I think, and he's like telling me, he's like, I don't know how many times I've been like asked about how to help with content, and it's just a very simple answer of, well, did you apply a debuff to the
comment? It might have been Lake's comment then. What?
It might have been Lake's comment. Well, regardless, like sometimes a whole solution of troubling to survive, troubling to do damage, sometimes the very most simple solution is the right answer, is apply a single debuff. A huge strength debuff, High Blazer. A huge defense debuff, High Drain. Maybe you'll be able to do damage. Maybe you'll be able to survive anything the boss throws at you at that point. It's because 35% strength can sometimes be way more than 35% damage mitigation. In fact, most of the time it's way more. So just keep that in mind. Debuffs are extremely overpowered, and units that can apply them innately and gain boosts from them are a very fun playstyle, in my opinion. It's almost why I almost always run all of those debuffs on my Emtheria with my party. It just further enables your team and disables the enemy. It's lovely.
Yeah.
But that's Thouzer. It's our first debuff unit since like, I mean, our first, like Gen 9S. Yeah, 9S counts for sure. Maybe not as an hugely effective debuffer, but yeah, it definitely works. Gen was definitely considered a debuffer just because maybe he didn't debuff by himself, but his buff flipping as well, combined with the access to those super bad chemical spells and the extremely bad chemical, were pretty nutty. I think our previous one before that was like Shifting Killy, who again still has some of the craziest debuffs in the game, has Battlestar debuffs. And she's super useful in a game. I mean, I don't use her that much more often because we have other options. And I have the spells to replace her, kind of. Not replace her, but like, do the job well enough where I don't use her, but she's
I
so
imagine
nasty.
For Maze, she can also be super helpful for certain.
Super damage mitigation.
Wrong. This is correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry?
Thouzer is the first debuff DPS unit where he scales off of the deep.
So there are other units that were like, Degrog, Shift a little bit. People that have like those high drain spells, giga spells and all that kind of shit in their kit. But don't actually gain any benefit from the debuffs themselves outside of the debuffs. Yes, he is the first unit that encourages you to apply as many debuffs as you can on the enemy to encourage disabling the enemy as much as you possibly can. And yes, that is a very fun play style to just, what they said in their tweet, right? Their last Cloudia tweet said his over oppressing aura or whatever they said. His playstyle was meant to be oppressive against bosses, oppressive against the entire enemy field. You're meant to take total control, right? And debuffs do that for you. Debuffs and encouraging ailments. Here's the thing. They didn't have to do shit with ailments on his kit. They could have said 10 debuffs. There is nothing else in his kit that says about ailments. What they're trying to do is tell you that use your friggin' ailments, enable him, disable the enemy.
Yep.
The same shit.
Incapacitate him.
The fact that they're basically teaching you how to play the game effectively is nuts. Pretty awesome. You love to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Units like this make the game more fun, in my opinion.
I agree.
Does he have the craziest DPS in the world? No. Are his caps really fun to look at when you smash them?
I've been using him for the past hour. I love his animations. His S2 and his S3, they're fun skills.
Uh-huh.
Just him swinging that big old thing.
Super cool. Bro, they weren't wrong when he's like oppressive. Like that's like that's such a good word for it. I know you focus on it a little bit, but that was such a good word to describe him. Yeah, a lot of fun unit.
Yeah.
Shall we go over the arc?
Yeah, we shall.
Yeah. I only have it at level 1 because I'm a lazy little shit, but we'll go to Pantorbane. I actually really like this arc for one specific reason, and we'll get there. But that-wise, nothing to write home about except for defense and mind, pretty good, honestly. 33, 35 defense, 309 mind. The passive, though. Duration of debuffs from enemies' active skills plus 35%. Now, debuffs extension of their time frame is very useful. Not only does it save MP, it allows you to, your unit to be able to do what it needs to do in the meantime while not having to think about the next time that you're going to apply the buff, right? 35% extension on a 40-second buff, and it stacks with other extensions of durations is really strong.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. What I want to say right here before we get into the next part is that this does not need to be used on just Thouzer. Yes, it's probably very good on Thouzer. But for units that apply debuffs to enemies, like your Gens, like your Vs, like your Tinkillies, even if you want to throw debuffs on her, like your Emtheres that have debuffs in their kit that you want to throw on enemies, it's going to extend that duration by an absolute shitload, which is beautiful. And again, this is only works with debuffs, so it's not going to be working on debuffs for your enemies. It's not like the Clock Arc where it works for pretty much anything casted by you. This is only debuffs, but that's a really nice passive just for that. Outside of anything else in the arc itself, just having that is valuable. But it is, again, permanent SSR Ark. Do you need to chase it? Absolutely not. Don't be crazy like that. But if you get it off of your random tickets, like Buddha, you'll probably get off random tickets someday, or randomly pull it on other multis. It's a good arc for sure, just on that. But the latter half of the passives, battle start at 15% of strength and defense. Okay, makes you more bulky, especially works on Thouzer. Physical attack damage plus 10% to enemies with debuffs. Again, lovely for Thouzer. Physical damage taken minus 10% from enemies with debuffs. Lovely for Thouzer. Of course, this does work with other units. And this is not specific to him, but it is tailored. This is his friggin' jail or his prison or whatever, which is really cool.
It is dope.
But the learnable, it is dope. I really like it. The art itself is sick. Yep. Honestly, with his whole aura, I like the synergy there. Defense up to curse research, iron wall counter. I hate counter, so we're not going to talk about that. Screw counter. Giga silence. I never use these giga spells, but I guess you probably could. It's chance based. It's not it's not great, but yeah, I hate them too. Terror Jail. Lovely. Damage taken from enemies with status ailments minus 10%. If you know you're guaranteed to be putting status ailment on an enemy, getting a free minus 10% damage. Of course, this isn't free. It costs 8 SC, but as you and I have explained before, as other people in the community have explained before, defensive passives are super expensive. And I don't necessarily know why, but that is all damage. And it's all damage but 10% as long as an enemy has a status ailment. So, you know, it helps protect against specials, against magic, against alts, or sorry, against, I guess, literally said specials, physical attacks. Protect against all damage, which is beneficial. If you need that extra mitigation, it's pretty good. High Blazer, though, big fan. So I've been using, and just as an aside, I've been using High Drain a shitload on my other units, and that comes on the Melee Arc. But having High Blazer outside of basically like Shifting Killy or any other units that have Giga High Blazer or a High Blazer themselves, which aren't many, having this learnable and just being able to throw on your Emtheria, your Sarah, whoever your support may be, even if you're your main DPS unit, if you felt like it. But having that as a minus 35% debuff as learnable is freaking great. And on a permanent arc. That is lovely. It's one of the best damage mitigation skills in the game for physical attacks and for enemy physical attacks and ults. So, permanent arc SSR with High Blazer? Yeah, hell yeah. Sign me up. Do not chase the permanent arc though. I need to reiterate that. As much as I like that, please do not chase the permanent arc. Unless you're willing to spend. This is pretty cool. I think it's more dark swords are great. 228 strength is good. This is interesting because it seems to like pair really, really well with Thouzer. If you do not have or aren't getting his paid, yeah, sure, it works. Now, this is conditional though. It's only under HP 30%, but it does specifically boost the physical attack damage and special damage. So yeah, this is like, you know, oh my god, it's the Executioner Thouzer. Here you go. Here's some extra damage. But you miss that first 70%, any effective use of the equip itself, which is what we generally like to do is, you know, use an equip's passes for the whole battle. So I don't know if you're planning for this, if you're using this in a very specific niche situation, then sure, it might be really good, but I don't see it as being that useful, to be honest. The lore on it's pretty cool. I don't know if people want to go check that out whenever they have the time, but the lore on it's pretty dope. But overall, strong SSR Ark. I think the duration, the debuff duration, is a really, really strong aspect of it. As well as, you know, if the other parts of it passively for a unit like Thouzer and like other units, so when you're mandatorily gonna be applying debuffs anyways, and want some strength and defense or some higher defense with strength. It's a nice arc. Definitely a good SSR Ark. But dude, I love the whole color scheme of this. It's super sick.
Did a great job.
Well, that's about it for those two. Now it's time for. You want to talk about the event?
Yes, his event.
His event's next, and I'm going to show you something right now.
Wow.
I have not done anything.
Okay, so I can talk about it. Yeah, that's what I'm currently farming.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you open up just that normal, or actually, will that start? No. Okay, so it's just a four stage quest line, which has been pretty standard with what they've been doing. What is nice on both the final, you have your bonus challenge, which you do. Everyone make sure you're doing that daily.
Which is I do.
Yeah, gives you coins for the exchange shop. And tickets, I can't remember, but no.
Yeah, it says that's the only thing I've done. Is
okay, so gives you both those. But what I think is the most significant thing is that the final quest on both the normal and hard stage are an unlimited soul drop for a unit, 2 souls per run. They cost 2 orbs each. It's not the worst thing. No,
worst thing in the world. And if for people who have, I mean, I wouldn't suggest, you know, spending all your orb recovers on it. No, that's not that crazy, but that's a nice little passive. You want to do it solo with Thouzer. It's a nice little soul grind.
So that's what I've been doing, just farming the mission points and getting his awakening souls. So that's cool.
Nice.
They added that.
I think the next best thing though is the extra challenges. This is like some people who play this very game very casually, who do not auto run as much. These kinds of events are where they thrive, right? This is where they're gonna spam this shit to get ether. The Lurker in the Mire is gonna be your 2% ether gain for all of the arcs that you have equipped, and then your Lurker in the Mire, of course, 5x. It's directly applicable. Is gonna give you 10% ether per run, which is just gross. For people who just don't care about auto running and who want to either farm their arcs, this is the time. And of course, you want to get as many tickets as you possibly can. So make sure. I'm assuming your bonus challenge gives them, and your actual final stages also give tickets.
Do.
They do. Great, awesome. But let's check out the trading shop, huh? This is cool.
Yep.
Another dark sword. Let's go. You love to see it. We have had a vast scarcity of dark swords in the game, so having one that actually is useful is very, very nice. Brute Ward and I watch. What's accessory.
This? It's not quite
less debuffs on yourself. It's not crazy, but it's
would have made more sense if it was the opposite in my head, but
yeah,
right.
It would make them extend longer.
But it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. On the enemy's extension longer, yeah. Yep. Thouzer Prism, you love to see it. Any radiances in here? No. Mega clusters, and we'll get into mega clusters. Yeah. That's actually one thing I wanted to talk about next. All right, fair shot. Not bad. Not bad. Just one each of the mega clusters. That's fine. Don't really care about that, considering we have ways to get more. Okay, the event's cool. I'm excited to see part 2. They usually give us like at least 1 or 2 radiances within the event itself. I know we got like a visionary radiance today from the 4 million downloads, which is whatever, but he used a worldly radiance, so I'm expecting at least one to be in the event. Oh, you know what? There's probably one in the mission rewards.
Coming, I think, in part 2.
Yeah, there should be. Here's my thing. Almost every high difficulty quest nowadays has given us a worldly, and I expect one in the mission reward. So I expect two worldly this event.
Would be.
Which is dope. Okay, cool. I think a short note, if anyone has not claimed yet, you probably have. If you just click this 4 million global downloads, you'll be able to do the visual quest, and they'll give you 3,000. 3,000? 3,000 gems? Take it. Lit. Okay. Before we get into cool GodForge shit, I want to talk about alchemy and the improvements of quality of life of alchemy, which is great, but also scares the shit out of me, Buddha. So for the longest time, we've had, the hardest grind we've been having to do is the 5th enhance and filling out those boards, right? Filling them out with mega clusters and having to farm those up, farming them out the clusters and all that good stuff. They just give us a massive quality of life that lets us craft infinite amount of clusters and a limited amount and a good amount of mega clusters per day. So you can every single day you can fuse clusters into mega clusters, three of each per day. That is a shitload of mega clusters if you keep up with it. You don't have to do any grinding at all for these units. The issue with that is that I have is the last time they did this was the last time the last enhances were coming out. Which means because there was a artificial scarcity of all of these resources, you had to grind it up. 5th enhance was a tough grind. They made it about 1,000 times easier now, which means there's probably another tier of shit coming. Which I wish I didn't think that way, but I just know it in my heart that as we're progressing towards the end of 5th enhance and to being able to max out all these units, this scares the shit out of me, man. I'm not excited for another tier of stuff. All right, I should rephrase it. I am excited for it. I'm just terrified of the grind. Because as you know, and when this stuff first came out,
you had to be real choosy.
Well, we just didn't have the units that do it efficiently. Now we do, and we have some pretty nice power creep units to use. But oh my god!
I mean, if bosses,
this is so exciting. I'm 100% going to do this every day, and get all 3 of all of it. And I know I have like I think Zero saying in chat, something about the clusters, number of clusters. A lot of people do not have this many, but like, it is very, very useful if you do have the clusters, and especially if you're farming IGC3 and all that kind of stuff. But like,
yeah, it's coming. I mean, it also would have helped if Adis employees didn't say that further enhancements were, you know.
Yeah, it was like strongly suggested towards. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but like, or to like scare us a little bit, but like,
It was said.
Yeah, that definitely was said. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but it's in all the back of our minds. I think he was just relatively like playing off of that.
Look at the content.
I can see it happening though, like within the next 6 months easily. Okay, so I think one of the most important things that has just released, and I think a lot of people who have the stuff, was the new GodForge items that came out. And I think I have some in the Crimson Ore. Like the White Temperance. Actually, you know what? This is the worst place to do it. We'll go back to Alchemy. GodForge Alchemy. So let's talk about this. A lot of this stuff, these unique equips, which are now in the Crimson shop, which I think go up to Roland. No, this was like kind of like our first batch of. What was our first batch that went up to Roland 2? This was the.
Yep.
No, these were the first batch. All of the Crimson equips of the very, very first batch that jumped into the Crimson shop. That's all of these. So like you got Zuglis, T-Sevia, Zykes, Balin, Logia, Chef Lila, Demorto, Tinkili, Roland, Exteria, all these units, including Claire, which sweet. But all of their Crimson equips right now, you can Godforge, which again, I'm going to just say this right now. All of the GodForge equips, you do not need to focus on them. Some of them are very, very good, and I'm excited to build them, but that's mainly because I already have them. You do not need to go after any of these Crimson equips. I would still say Ardines is probably the most valuable, but if you wanted to, there are some really, really incredible options that maybe are not going to break the game for you, but are just further going to enhance the niche that they're used in, or that unit is used in, right? And I know you had talked about it in your video right now, and we talked about it after your video, and you told me to give you some shit. So, I am very excited for these equips, and I know the full effect of them does not show on this because this is like a level 1 GodForge, but they get pretty nasty at plus 20, which is their max enhance right now.
Yeah, there are some nasty ones that.
The reason, the reason that I am very excited is because this turns some of the, lesser used units, but sometimes those units are used in like very niche scenarios. This turns them into absolute trucks, in their specific niches. And now let me explain. So, Zuglis' GodForge really doesn't do much for him. I think it's like 7k cap at max, and then like. Him as a physical DPS is just not crazy, honestly. He did need the cap for sure, but nothing crazy. I don't think T-Sevias did a lot for her. I think even at base, even if you had these at base, they're very, very good for her in general. Of course, this is like... I just don't use her enough to be crazy, but like, whatever. Zykes' weapon, though. This turned a very conditional break scenario into a constant break. Constant break, constant skill damage, constant or extra damage when they're in Feigned War break. Like he is still one of the better breakers in the game. So the fact that they made his basically non-conditional and straight up helping his specific niche is really strong. If you have this, absolutely GodForge it. If you don't worry about it. Balin though, Sacred Sword Lafine, this was like mids for sure. I don't know. Here's what I don't know. I don't know if that chance from physical critical attacks or sort of 1 SCT, it was 20% was the effect that it is at base. I do not know yet, and I'm hoping Lake will figure it out, if this is any different. If it goes up, this immediately gets GodForged. If it stays the same, I do not care for the single wield equip cap raise. I really don't. But some people might, and if you have it, great. I'll probably end up GodForging it anyways. It's just like, I'm not going to rush it. Sacred Holy Tree Blades for Logia. This is really cool. The reason being, his base is like duration status ailments given. damage to enemies with status ailments plus 20%. At plus 20, this is duration of status ailments given plus 30%, but also plus 50% damage. Is in 2000 cap. I really like this on him. And this paired with his event sword, I think, with the blind sword. Yeah, the blinding sword on physical attacks is pretty nasty. Those two together is Logia is still one of my favorite units to use. He's very fun. And I enjoy him a lot. We'll get into the actual other additional GodForges after we talk about these. Chef Lila, I really don't care for her bow, to be honest. I really don't care for Dilmordo's claw. I know it's like a big physical attack boost, but I really just don't care about it yet until like maybe this chance for. I mean the fire attack damage is extra. I don't know. Tinkyli's is pretty sick though, and like we've talked about with other stuff in the game before, duration is king. Especially for a unit that has her buffs only last 20 seconds, like her alt buffs. Having an extra 50% at max duration is nasty, as well as another 10% MP. I don't think this changes at max, but the duration goes up by another 20%, which turns some of her buff durations just absolutely ridiculous. Roland's, I'm going to talk about both of his right now. OG Roland is, maybe he's not the most meta unit in the game, but the accessory
yeah,
and the armor are both really good. It's just they made them disgusting. Basically made him at max nullified to Slayers. I mean, I know you talked about a bunch of this stuff, but his accessory is really good. Extheria's clothes are really good. It boosts damage by 100%, bursts their magic damage by 100%, and cap by 4,000. Lilies are both really good, adding 7,000 cap or 2,000 cap each and 70% damage, as well as automatically cutting attribute resistance whenever she deals like light or dark damage or light or dark magic damage. When dark attacking, all light and dark attack damage. That's crazy. I think those are all the ones I wanted to mention so far. Now if you didn't notice, there's one missing from the list, and that's because I'm creating it. The Clarendalian God Smasher. Why am I maxing this out? Well, you see now. For a unit to give 50% break duration, is just gross. And I think I've shown this quite a few times, and maybe other people have seen, especially if people have used Joker, to be able to break with him and have an extra 50% timer on the clock whenever you're in break mode and have like a unit with loss and just doing absolutely absurd damage is stupid OP. So her, while being a very good breaker, having 100% break on this additive, having very good innate break, having an extra timer of 50% while basically enabling any of the persona units, any other unit in general to just do ridiculous damage while the boss is completely immobilized. That's super useful. Pretty fun. Not only that, it just gives her an extra. I mean, I don't really care about her damage, honestly. It's 100% damage to enemies or feint or break, and then the defense plus 30%. Awesome. The main points of this are the break 100% additive as one weapon. She can dual wield, absolutely. And then the break timer 50%. So this is the first one that I created. This is the first one I'm going after. I know other people have preferences and what they want to use, but Claire's weapon is very, very unique and something that only one unit in the game effectively can do that. I know Shift Kyle has some weird shit on his break and break duration, but he's not a very good breaker, and he's just not a very good unit overall. So like, I don't care for that. But she actually can break. She can do that. And then we have like the Clock Arc that can extend duration, and those all stack, right? I don't know. Some really, really cool stuff in the GodForge, and I think that's worth noting. What I did forget to mention is the actual other two GodForges that we just got.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sick. I know you're excited, because I was under the understanding that there would not be any other GodForges, but there are. So the God Sword of Kusanagi, which is pretty cool. This was a pretty damn useless sword, as you can tell. It's literally just a stat stick, 219 strength, literally no passive, trash. Used with some random ass sword in the game. It now has, at base GodForge, is 10% physical attack damage boost. Physical attacks have an anti-god type effect, so it's basically Godslayer and physical attack damage plus 10%. I believe at max, it goes up to 398 strength and 15% physical attack damage boost. So it's not the craziest boost in the world, but it does give free Godslayer. So it's definitely worth noting. It's niche, but it is still useful. It's a non-attribute sword with 15% physical attack damage boost at base, even if you didn't need the God Slayer, with 398 strength. It's pretty good. Godfire Meteor Staff, which is, I mean, the base staff is already pretty good. 42 MP, 231 intelligence, 179 mind, fire attribute, fire attack magic damage plus 30%. I was using this for the MP and the fire attack for Roy anyways. But now, at base creation, it is 42 MP, 362 intelligence, 193 mind, as well as fire magic attack damage plus 30%, chance for fire dark attack magic to deal critical damage. So it automatically gives you fire and dark crit, as well as 30% fire magic attack damage. I believe this goes up to 35% at max for the attack damage boost, which, again, is not that much crazy than the OG form, but it does have a much stronger intelligence. I'm actually very surprised that it wasn't more, considering it's an 8-star item. Actually, both of these are 8 stars, right? Oh shit, another one. Yeah, both of them are 8 stars. Our 8-star equipment has gotten some pretty crazy boosts, so I'm surprised they only went up like 5% each on the boosts. And I think, who confirmed that for me? Someone in our chat earlier confirmed that for me. But I'm still holding out the fact that it's, Copium tells me it's, going up by 10%. We'll see. We'll see. But some really cool GodForge stuff. Even if you didn't have any of the Crimson equips, those two are pretty good equips to go after. Yeah,
not bad.
But this transitions directly into how do you make those equips?
We have
Buddha?
GodForge boss every.
Oh yes. I don't know if you wanted to add me so we can do maybe one run or two, but you absolutely can. And we'll do a little slow version. We're not doing the whole Ardine bursting everything in the world. We'll do a slower version. So I'm going to bring Ship Balin and Theria, and you're more than welcome to bring 2 DPS. Okay, so why don't we talk about this? The alchemy itself, and I think, creating all this stuff brought about a new GodForge boss. The drops themselves are used to both create these Onyx God Spheres, which are needed to then create these fine, quote-unquote, fine God Spheres. So these fine Amethyst, fine Pearl, fine Topaz, fine Emerald, fine Lapis, fine Ruby. You're going to need those in order to create the Onyx God Spheres to create these fine ones. Now, what are these used for? These are used to create the GodForge alchemies, as well as a 1 extra at the plus 20 mark. So you'll need 2 of these fines to finish out at one of these GodForges. Now this means the equipment themselves have the special specification that you need to be farming the newest GodForge Dominion boss, Bahamut the Imperator. This is not that easy of a battle, in my opinion. The one that you're gonna want to be farming is the God form. Nightmare does not give good drops at all, but you want to be doing the God. Now, here's my issue with it. If you are a newer player and you have these Crimson equips, I mean, you probably won't have the Crimson equips, but if you are a long-term player and you just are very casually playing, you're going to struggle with this. It hits very, very hard. Now, there are certain units that make this a lot easier. Of course, I know I put out a video earlier today, and I know you were in the video, Buddha. You also Zero is here as well. We shit on Bahamut with Ardines and Crows, and it was hilarious. Very, very effective. Very, very good wave. This boss right here is literally Ardine being the MVP if you want to farm it efficiently. His Dragon Buster and high MP and skill spam and just feels so good. Now, most people don't have that. Don't have the ability to, don't have that many friends to do so. What you're going to be looking at, this boss hits extremely hard. So what works here, Buddha? What works here? Non-attribute, I think he has like 50 or 75 resist to all of the attributes. So if you're not using Trishula, you're not going to do shit. He has, what he does not resist is non-attribute damage. So we're looking at Shift Balin, who can be built very, very bulky. Other units that if you're going to be running this with help is like Theria. Theria is an absolute legend here. Why? She decreases the damage from Bahamut a shitload. Bahamut hits very hard sometimes and can instant kill many of your enemies or many of your allies. So a support like Theria, I would never be mad at. Now, things that I would work with on Theria, right? Why don't I, Buddha? Can you join?
Ready.
Are you ready? Or are you like?
Yeah.
I'm gonna create a locker room and ask no one to join, if that's
I
all right. So
added
you
you.
can join.
Or you just, however you want to handle it.
Okay. Whatever. I'm going to just make this room locked and we'll talk about it. If you guys join, please just do not. Just please don't join. I like, and this is unfortunate because I think my game just decided to not. Yeah, room was closed. Okay, yo, thanks, Adis. We'll just do friends. Since you're on, friends it is. But the problem with friends is that I added a bunch of people lately, so this
Might get
is an
some
issue.
joins. Oh, what's happening?
Bro, all right, hold on a second. Double fail.
Fail.
All right, do this, do that, do this. We're doing a locker room because I don't trust my friends anymore. Okay. So, Buddha, you're more than welcome to join. The reason being Emtheria is so good here. And another example of why Thouzer is so good. And maybe not him per se, but debuffs. Debuffs. Debuffs are nuts in this game. And dropping the enemy's strength down and his defense down are both going to nuke the enemy's physical attacks and boost your own physical attacks. So, like, really, really useful for Emtheria. She inherently is a god of this battle, essentially. Bring her with some debuffs, bring her with some heals. If you can't do the DPS that your boys can,
Hold on.
just bring us support.
Never mind. Just kidding.
No, you're fine. It really doesn't matter. We're not going to die. Even if we do, Emtheria's got heals. So, the weird thing about this battle is that it has 41 million health, which is very, very annoying to farm. That was a nice S3 quick trigger. Thank you, Balin. But Balin works very, very good here. And now, here's the thing. I would build him super... Even if you're bringing in Emtheria, beef him up. Make him super defensive. I'm running Celestial Mass on him because most of the boss's attacks are physical. And I'm willing to sacrifice 3... Note that. 3 MP for every hit being minus 50% physical damage. Which is just ridiculous. But Emtheria is fantastic here. This hit right there should have killed me. But since I'm super physically defensive, he did not.
That's
shit.
Beefy boy.
It's 41 million health, dude. Like, it's a lot. And this is when we just let Emtheria do her thing. I equipped both super bad chemicals on her. She's just chilling. We're just sitting here pressing all the buttons. Oh yeah, that's a nice little kill. Hey, good job. But yeah, Ardine is nasty.
He is. He's a nasty boy.
Oh man, so good. But thank you for bringing ship Bailey. That was a strong team. But very fun. And of course, this with if you guys have not seen the video earlier of us farming Bahamut with 3 Ardines and a crow. I still want to do 4 Ardines, but 3 Ardines and a crow. The battle was over in, like, the final battle was honestly probably took about 12 seconds for 41 million damage.
Amazing.
Which is just obscene. It's just obscene.
What?
Wait a second. Oh, I don't have enough of those. Rip. I was almost be able to make the finish the hammer. But yeah, I hope hopefully maybe people got some insight on non-attribute damage is really good here. I will say if you're trying to do this and trying to like break cheese it, the boss has like a weird break resistance at battle start until like 60% HP or so. So like it's very, very weird. We brought Claire, my new breaker Claire, and she did literally no break in the first. And I had her capped out on break. And you were there. You guys were there for it. It was just so bad. So break cheese doesn't really work here. Survival is key. Non-attribute is really useful. If you want to use Trishula here is very, very useful. Obviously, any other units that have good survivability and good damage at the same time. I know a bunch of people are really loving bringing Roland here, but if you do not have a way to drop the enemy light resist, please do not bring Roland. I've seen so many shift Rolands today. It's unbelievable. Like, just you need a way to drop the resist, or just help out in a way that's not going to make me look below average in the battle. Because it's like, it's not fun to like, I'm sitting here with, I've done quite a few pubs today and running a Shift Balin soloing essentially. And I have Shift Rollins sitting there literally doing like 8k a hit on single wield. And I mean, they bring healing spells and they're all on auto, so it's like, they'll heal me or heal themselves, but it's just
gross.
Oh god, it's filthy. And I hate to shit on like people's builds and stuff, but that's not the best unit to use here. Trishula units and non-attribute units are best if you have no way of dropping resist. Using supports and helping out the homies who maybe have to solo. That's fine. If I was the only Shift Balin and 3 people brought in Theria, am I going to be mad? No. Like, you guys did what you needed to do. If you feel like we're gonna kill the boss, this is not an easy battle. It's a war of attrition, but we're gonna survive and it's gonna be fine. Not only that, I want to mention. Here's the thing, we still have free continues. So if your party wipes, please do not quit. Hit that free continue. After testing units on this battle today, I already had to do it a couple times. Like, you have free continues. Your whole party dies. Okay, who cares? You'll light up with full specials, full skills, full health, and you can do it as many times as you want. Like, you don't even have to bring a good unit for this. Of course, you want to be doing damage, but honestly, at some certain point, if your entire team's party's gonna die, it's probably easier just to free continue. And that works for all of these battles. They're all open. I think they're all open every day, right? Look at all these ability gates open every day.
Reduced.
Costs also reduced. Nice.
Orbs.
Reduced costs for
certain stages, yeah.
These are?
The limit breaker fields.
Where?
And the ability gates.
What do you mean? They're always one.
Something dropped. I'm telling you.
The thing that's different is we have rare drops up for GodForge. So right now we're getting a lot more of the 9-star materials, or like the highest tier materials, which is useful because we're needing a lot of these. The 8-star materials, I guess. Crown Skull, Bahamut. These ones have been giving me the most trouble lately because I'm not going to be getting like any of them. But I've been getting plenty of these guys, Thorntails, and then Crown Scales. But yeah, you'll need to farm this, and this is open every day for right now, so you don't feel like you need to rush it. But if you want to improve those paid or those Crimson equips, you are more than welcome to do so and farm these out. But hopefully you can implement some strategies. Just real quick, the Balin I have, I was running him with Celestial Mass, which is working really, really well for like soloing. Celestial Mass is a really strong defensive arc. Defense mine plus 50%, damage from hoods minus 50%, and damage from bosses minus 50%. A flat boost with defense 460 defense in mind at max cap for me. If you want to see maybe a build here that works, I don't mind showing it honestly. Just the charisma on spells, and then max HP, a bunch of defense, magic defense up, fast protection, some good damage here, Pirate's Feast, double hinder boost, purple orb, Celestial Mass. So you'll see Celestial Mass when taking damage, physical damage, which use 3 MP to have them damage taken. So I'm not running Sharp Eyes here on purpose. I'm looking for bulk. And then Heaven Blade, Lefilad. These are 2 of his paid. Ult Defensor, and then just in case the entire party dies, I take like literally no damage. This is like one of my favorite accessories right now for this soloing this in pubs. Is cutting damage. You get an extra 21% damage cut for one accessory. Awesome. That's actually ridiculous. if the entire party dies. But generally, if you're running an M-Theory with it, it's really, really useful.
Can I read you something? Reduced orb costs from 2 to 1 for the following training dungeons. Ability Gate God, Ability Gate God Multi, Limit Breaker Field God, and Limit Breaker Field God Multi.
Have these not been one?
Yep.
Oh my god, have they been 2? Whatever, dude. I hate you so much.
Also,
fair enough, though. Good eyes.
The Ark is called Luganser, not Celestial Mass. You did.
I literally call it Celestial Mass Ark. I wonder why. Because they're the most...
No, I know.
That's funny. You know what I wish they would do sometimes?
Oh, please.
Give this reduced cost. Like down to 2 and 1 or something.
It is.
3 is a lot of orbs.
So...
And this is the exact reason I create alts with this shit on them, because I'm... Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yep. I think that's an easy. You don't have to do this battle that fast. It's again a war of attrition. It's 41 million health. He's gonna hit hard as hell. So bring some beefiness. Help yourself out.
Yeah.
So not bad. This is definitely not a new player friendly GodForge. This is the least new player friendly GodForge out of, I think, all of them. This and Lestoria, in my opinion. So like,
I don't know.
gear up for it later. This is something
I
to
don't
work
know
towards.
if I'm
I
a
think.
fan of like this tier of difficulty for
Difficulty
Yes.
in a farming stage.
I,
Yeah. No, it's definitely not that good. But again, these buffs to these equips are extremely high. They're also not that hard to get, right? At plus 20, you only need to use 2 of the Fine God Spheres, which means you only need 4 of the. You only need 4 orbs on this stage, 4 spheres, which isn't that bad, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of the other stuff
Correct.
costs like 8.
You're not wrong. That does make sense. So, I think I agree. Rithik, aka the Forest, he said these paid equips, he sees them as Maze of Tartarus equips, which I agree with.
Yeah, I mean, every single unique equip is a Maze of Tartarus equip because like we don't have, you don't have infinite options of swords and everything. It's very, very easy to equip a unique equip and not never think about it again.
And that's where these older characters and their niches, I would say, are most useful in the game for sure. Overall.
Zero says 41 million HP or 10 million with 3 HP locks. I totally agree, dude. Really hate HP locks, so I'm okay with the 41 million.
You have a point.
41 million boss. Like I'd much rather. I mean, I'd still rather farm Kraken because it's super easy. But like,
yeah, I still think the level of, I still don't think increasing the general difficulty for farmable stages. Well, I mean, it will happen eventually because that's just what power creep is. It is what it is.
That's power creep, yeah, right, exactly.
There's a reason Chip Balin stands out.
But yeah,
and will for a very long time. But I'm excited to see.
Yeah, well,
of course.
Still a goated unit.
Of course. How could he not be? Ardine?
Oh, no, both of them. I mean, Chip Balin, Ardine, and... All right, so my top units right now for this battle are... Crow, for sure, because neutral. M-Theory is easily the MVP. If you have an M-Theory and you're one M-Theory on your team, hopefully she's well-built. Doesn't have God Heal. It has, like, Starlight or Glass Record and Keen Eye. Chip Balin and Ardine. Those 4 units right there are the goats of this battle, in my opinion.
I'm excited to see where...
yeah, for sure.
I feel like even in maybe certain pickup groups, Trishula Thouzer here could be useful there. Drop it.
Why not? A bulky Trishula Thouzer that can cap on dragons? Why not?
I'm excited.
I think it would work very, very well. I don't think he's going to be perfect on Goddess Kiss, but I mean, you could make it work. I will say the boss moves around a lot. So if you like, and by moving around a lot, I mean he doesn't flinch, and you can easily just run behind him. So if you want to use Surprise Attack and Backstab to get an absolutely massive damage boost, big fan. I mean, that's something that I know I told you guys earlier when we were running Ardine. Just use an S1 to get behind the boss and immediately just spam the shit out of S2 and burst him down. It's pretty fun.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where this guy's going to be used.
Wait a second. We should just run one.
You want to run 4 Ardines? 2 Ardines.
I just want to run 2 Ardines and see the difference. I'll run
perfect
Council. It should be a nice difference, and I don't think we'll die. Well, I mean, I may die, but M-Theory is going to keep us alive in general. And you also do not need to use Beast Hunter because I have it.
I changed
ready.
I changed my gloves.
Good. Good shit. Let me switch this up. Let me make sure I have everything I want. Can you bring a damaging arc for the first wave?
I can bring Theo, but it's...
I'll bring Theopolis, honestly.
Okay.
You bring me center.
Works for me.
If that works for you. All right, let me give her a little bit more MP. Let's use Black Diamond. Okay. Let's go. All right. Did we not do the thing?
Friends.
Okay, cool. I'll bring Theo for the first wave.
Did you ever add me?
Super annoying.
I sent you.
I thought we did.
You
I
didn't
thought we already
add me,
did
though.
this. We already did a friend gang, you know?
You did lock.
Did I do lock last time? Sorry, I wanted to be your friend anyway,
Finally.
so it's cool.
Took.
Finally, bro. Finally
I
friends.
know.
Dude. We're real
You're not
friends
just
now.
using me for clout.
Bro, what is... What's up, Dojo? Welcome to the podcast. You ready?
No.
All right. Rip. And he probably
That's
doesn't know. But we're
good.
gonna do lock now. Only one time.
It's all right.
I wasn't quick enough to press go. 880.
They see Tweacz, they see carry. It's fine. I'm ready. Send it.
Okay, you ready? Let's get it. We may not kill right off the bat, but she's got glass records.
I think we'll do just fine.
I have 17 skills worth of Dragon Buster,
Exactly.
so.
Okay.
Didn't kill because she has terror, but
we have a Balin. We have a Balin.
Works for me. I know you have a Balin. I just didn't know if you get S3 or not. Nice.
Dojo is in the house.
All right, Balin, go ahead. Yeah, I'm just gonna stand here. It's fine. Works for me.
Big boy numbers.
It's lovely. All right, so I'm gonna use Council of Council after we run through skill stocks a little bit, guys. This is what Ardine does in this battle. Generally, you use Dragon Buster at the first rip, which protects you from running into the initial tail wipe, and then we go like this.
Cool, dude. Ooh.
That's fine.
Yep. I like those caps. Those are cool caps.
That was pretty effective.
I like those caps.
Huh? Yeah, I like
Dual
59,999 caps. I use 16th.
So for those who still don't know, an easy way to understand dual wield caps. 59,999 dual wield caps times 2, you're looking at just under 120,000. And so it's as if your favorite single wield unit was dealing 120,000 per hit.
Just for reference of Ardino specifically, his S2 is 24 hits dual wield. Okay. That's 1.44 million damage if you're capping every hit for a very, very spammable skill. Not only that, it continues on the hits on his S1 and S2, or S1 and S3. So, that's an absolute disgusting amount of damage against a boss like this, as you guys can probably just see.
Easy good.
Yeah. Just imagine it was 12 hits, but you're doing 120k in your single wield unit.
The exact same time.
It's just disgusting.
All in one instant.
Within the matter of about a half second. So, when we say DPS, damage per second, right? Damage per second, Ardine against Dragons is, unequivocally, maybe besides Joker and Loss, but, those two right there are, the highest DPS potentials in the game. And that's a niche scenario, right? It's just disgusting.
It's amazing. Garmin, no. No, the answer is N-O capital, both letters.
No.
So,
wait, hold on. It says you are just overpaid.
Oh, goodness gracious, I read it backwards. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the opposite was
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Who friended me else? Oh, gifts. Let's go. I got gifts.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have much else to talk about. I think I haven't used Thouzer in Arena yet, so I don't really want to show him there without even knowing what's going on. But I feel like he's probably pretty good there. Having 10 Slayers, especially humans, and giving debuffs and shit.
They're still
pretty effective. Especially in places like Arena, applying debuffs overall is generally just annoying to do. to set up like a unit to like automatically apply support magic. So one that he does it automatically.
Yeah.
I'm okay
There's
with.
still a lot to experiment with this guy. And especially you, I mean, you guys
100%.
saw how much there was to unpack in his kit, which just kind of leaves that much more to test, right? Making it even harder to do it all in one day.
Exactly.
And our,
Dude.
you know, our guinea pig Tweacz was busy all day with IRL. How dare he? So he didn't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what was really funny? And I felt the same thing, but you felt like you had to explain a
Oh,
lot more
for
about his
sure.
kit than normal? So even writing that little summary that I do generally for units, I was just like, I don't have enough. Like normally I'd be like, okay, here's the caps, here's like a general
Yep.
synopsis. Okay, we're good to go. This one I was just like, ah, shit, I really feel like I need to explain this. Like I need to explain how
Yes.
useful he can be.
So
So
it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting next few days to test him out. Don't forget, guys, the cap podcast.
oh yeah, he's not even close to being fleshed out right now. Like he's, I'm excited for people to find out what exactly what his true, power can be, because I know we talked about this. It was the thing we haven't even touched on. Dual wielding him for on hit effects. I probably still go single wield, but dual wielding on hit effects for like weapon break for like his proc chance for
Oh, yeah, we didn't
debuffs
even talk
can be
about
pretty
this.
potent. And his damage does not lack that much.
No, when you look at the
honestly.
numbers between his dual wielding capabilities and his single wield, it's not much different at the end of the day. And then you get all the double
Not much,
effects from
but
his on hits.
yeah, definitely just not as easy to build for than single wield though. He does get a lot of bulk,
I prefer the
a lot of
lazy
bulk and a lot of
hands
power.
way to access
Anyways,
a lot of stuff. So
me too.
I'll be using him
Me
that
too, me
way.
too.
But yeah, let those couple days pass. Saturday, that Zero hosts the Cap Raise podcast, so I'm sure they'll have more to talk about with him. So look forward to that. Thanks for being here, y'all. I know we had a good crowd in the chat. He's an interesting character. I think he confused a lot of people, which is why y'all are probably here to gain some
100%.
knowledge on him. So just be on the lookout. More videos to come. I'm sure both Tweacz and I will put out a showcase eventually. I'm going to be gone.
I've been slacking lately, so who
What's
knows?
going on?
Maybe I'll just let you do
Work's
it.
busy? You have like real people talking to you now?
Yep, very busy. Very busy person. Very, this just happens.
Well, then just leave it up to your boy Buddha. I got you.
Listen, I had to be off and play. I had to spend like 28 hours
That's
on
true.
Maze.
I need to
do it,
catch
so,
up. I've been slacking big time on Maze. So luckily it's
it's all
permanent,
good.
so I'm not really stressing. So yeah, guys, I think that's all we got for you this time. Thank you to my co-host Tweacz for holding it down. And thank you to you guys for being here live, listening, and following and subscribing. Yeah, support means the world, so we'll keep it coming to you as long as you want to hear it. But with all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play hard. See you in the next podcast.